Brainstorm.
And what does he do with that? Leaves it right where it is and brainstorm.
He's going to brainstorm. Like, if you would like to kill this with your treetop village and tap out, and that's fine.
I can tell you we've got a gigantic live audience here at Proto Amsterdam, one of the largest webcast live viewerships I think I've ever seen. This was the scene of a phenomenal Scars of Mirrodin preview party last night. I'm pretty confident there are going to be a lot of incriminating photos popping up on Facebook.
Another Doran.
17 plays 13, so that's Doran number 3. From Kibler. And you're entitled to feel when you've made 3 that quickly that one of them ought to stick.
And Michael Jacobs like, how many of those do you have in your deck? So lucky.
Right. 5. So you see Grover the Burnwillows, they're 1/2 of the punishing fire combo, but that will not be overly helpful.
Brian looks like he's in command here, but you know, he's actually taken 7 damage along the way.
Yep. But that is about to change, and how? Send, send, send. That was 11 damage, and that looks like a much better reflection of what we've seen so far in this game. So round about now, Michael J. will be thinking, my main deck damnation, my sideboarded in damnation. Jacob looking for answers, just as Guillaume Wafatapa was looking for answers against Libert. He could not make it.
Again, even if he deals with what's on the board, he's still got to worry about that treetop village coming in and taking him out in 2 turns.
But at least it's 2 turns, not 1 turn with both of the treetop villages. I guess Consume the Meek would be pretty tasty.
That would be pretty exciting for him.
That would be. I mean, he has 1 main deck, one out of the board. So what have we got, Michael Jacob? 4 mana, Teachings. That's a Consume the Meek. That is not foiling in Chinese, so Wafatapa has the edge in the Consume the Meek battle.
Gonna need a second black source somewhere.
He has a Crumbling Acropolis, 2 Grover the Burnwillow, Mountain, Cascade Bluffs.
So really all the blue and green he could ever want. But
Nelson has Tarmogoyf and Lone Lion in game 4. The Figure of Destiny is getting bigger for Kai with his Honor of the Pure.
Trees.
So, Nelson and Jacob untaps.
Do we have a second black source?
He's looking at his hand with not a huge amount of enjoyment. And you can be pretty certain that Kibler is sitting there saying, do you have the second black source?
And he has a couple there.
Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth.
It's all the black he needs now.
Yes. A lot of players were concerned coming into, not the weekend, but coming into the new format about quite how mana bases, how resilient they were going to be. But I've heard very few beats around the thing.
The filter lanes are so good.
Yeah.
They're so exciting, and they, you know, if you build your deck around them correctly, you can do some really amazing things with your mana. There. So over here we have a Thoughtseize. Does not get the Consume the Meek, surprisingly. He clears the board with the Consume the Meek. Looks at Damnation, Cruel Ultimatum, and Coalition Relic.
Sounds like Guillaume Wafatapa's up
Kibler's
to
going to go to 9
some,
and take the
entertainment in
cruel
his match
ultimatum,
against Libert.
and then attack for...
Libert is stuck with 2 Revelark in hand, but no white mana. Baneslayer Angel is down for Guillaume Wafatapa. They could be headed for 2-2. If they do, we will bring you their decider live. Nelson looking to square up against Buddha, but here, Jacob 2-1 up, 11-3 behind. There are 2 treetop villages that he must deal with. Let's see how he goes about it. 3 mana. Coalition Relic. Tap it. Preordain. See something good or no?
Basically needs a lightning bolt and then Brian to not have another land. Animate both. Oh, there we go.
Animate. There it is. That is 2 each in between Michael Jacob and Brian Kibler.
We're gonna stay here for Game 5 of this match between Michael Jacob and Brian Kibler. We're going to take a look at these 2 gentlemen's resumes and probably talk a little bit about their sideboards while they shuffle up. Make sure they're sufficiently randomized.
So let's take a look at Mike Jacob. Only 26 years of age. That man has lived a lot.
Much to Kai's chagrin. It was so funny. We're doing the little video pieces where all the players announce how old they are, and Kai was a little sad to hear that Kibler was going to not yet 30. He's like, oh, he said, I'm not the oldest player in this top 8, right? And he's looking at Michael Jacob as he says, I'm not the oldest player in this top 8. And as he says that, Michael Jacob steps in front of the camera and he's like, Michael Jacob, 26. And Kai's like, expletive deleted.
As you can see, he's got a pretty tasty resume. Not at Pro Tour level, first Pro Tour top 8, but national team in 2007 when the team was led by Louis Scott Vargas. 2008 he comes back as the national champion and then proceeds with a terrific team. Let's be clear, 2008 was a really good year for the US. Sam Black and Paul Cheon joining Mike Jacob for Worlds on home territory. Now, BDM, I don't want to lead you down a difficult path here, but it looked to me, looking at US Nationals this year, like with 2 rounds to go, you could have had one of the best teams in the known universe. It looks to me like you haven't quite managed that.
You know, the thing about US national teams is they have a history of not looking like the best team in the world, but in hindsight they always look good. You know, Sam Black was a very unknown quantity at the time that he was on this team. Michael Jacob was an unknown quantity. Even though he had a nationals top 8, he was still hadn't had that pro success. So, you know, these national teams often look better in hindsight. So I'm hoping that this year's team can do so. And Josh Utter-Layton is, you know, a terrific national champion.
Yes, indeed he is. And joining him are Michael Eason and Conrad Kolos?
Correct.
Okay, well, we will see how they do in Chiba, of course. Let's take a look at Brian Kibler, the 29-year-old, 30 on Tuesday. I won't sing. I've been banned from singing in the booth. 10 Grand Prix top 8s. And I just love the fact that you go all the way back to the 6th ever Grand Prix. In Toronto in 1997, you do the math, the guy was 16, and now here he is, half a lifetime later. Maybe on the verge of the Hall of Fame, maybe on the verge of another Pro Tour win.
I think it's more like a whole career later. It's like he's had 2 careers. He had one pretty good career before he left to enter the world of, you know, I've got a job and responsibilities. Has since come back and had the second career that is even better than his first career. People were considering him very seriously for the Hall of Fame before he came back.
Yes.
He didn't quite have the resume. It was you know, pretty skimpy. He had a lot of the intangibles, but didn't have like the raw numbers. And part of the reason Brian came back to play is because of that sort of paucity of Hall of Fame credentials, and said, oh, you know, I would like to be worthy of inclusion in the Hall of Fame. and that drove him to qualify. He played in 9 PTQs to get himself qualified for Pro Tour Honolulu.
And of all the great places to qualify, it was Vegas.
Yeah.
Which kind of fits with Brian Kemp.
And so since then, he's he's gotten himself a level 7 in the Players Club last year.
10th place in the...
Got himself a top 8 in Honolulu, 1 in Austin. He's, it's just phenomenal.
Interesting, these two played in the Swiss in extended. Jacob wins that one.
Jacob said he won easily.
And that was the best of 3. And they are still having fun. I'm not sure how much fun Brad Nelson and Kai Buda are having, because they are having a real mental workout in their game 4. There is a door in the Siege Tower loam line, Kitchen Finks, Treefolk Harbinger down for Brad Nelson. There is Figure of Destiny with a bunch of counters, and it looks like Spectral Recession joining the German team with Honor of the Pure down. So Nelson is trying to force a game 5. Waffa Tapper is trying to force a game 5, and we are getting ready to go here on screen in game 5 between Michael Jacob and Brian Kibler of the United States. Kibler looks, and we are away. Mike Jacob, turn 1, preordain.
Gotta look as scrubby as possible.
Paul has the full whiteboard revised planes. Somebody always rocks the white when you die.
And
I like that one, don't like that one. I'll draw that one.
yeah. And right there, you've explained why players like the format so much, because you've just said in 5 seconds 3 decisions. Like that one, don't like that one, I'll draw that one. Right, it's all the thought process right from the get-go.
Is one mystery card better than these 2 cards? It's, there's an element of skill where someone who plays at the higher levels of the game can really eke out a lot of edges.
And that's what pros want. They want the ability to show off their skills.
Sure.
And they've clearly been given that this weekend.
So Treefolk Harbinger for Brian Kibler.
Jacob Blaze Crumbling Necropolis.
And Relic of Progenitus, card he's brought in from his sideboard. Really to deal with Tarmogoyfs. From Brian's deck. Also deals with Knight of the Reliquary, which both are really relying on their toughness. On their graveyard for their power and toughness. So.
And worst case, when things get snippy, you just go, let's get rid of the relic, I'll draw a card and see what's helping me out.
Absolutely. Actually, Michael said that was relevant in this matchup because Brian has got all these discard spells that so he takes a card from Mike's hand and then has a lot of knowledge about what his hand is over the next several turns.
Yes.
He's like, I get an extra card back with Relic that is unknown, and that has a lot of value for him. All right, well, here comes the Treefolk combo again. We are tied 2-2 on the Kai Buda Brad Nelson match.
Yep.
Brian has actually decided not to play the Doran. He's played Knight of the Reliquary instead.
It will not surprise you to know, viewers around the world, that we will hold Game 5 of Brad Nelson against Kai Buda for a place in the semi-final of Pro Tour Amsterdam. You will not miss a turn of their decider. Knight, double Treefolk Harbinger, Treetop Village, which did the business for Kibler earlier in the piece, against 4-land Relic of Progenitus for Jacob. Farmington Hills, Michigan. Such an evocative name.
What do you think they do there?
It's probably a suburb of Detroit or something.
So we see that's interesting. You see Michael Jacob using the Relic of Progenitus to take an instant out of his own graveyard. There's no way to get it back. Doesn't offer any advantage to Kibler, and then we see the Punishing Fire, Grove of the Burn Willows combo. We've got some tremendously exciting news for the Belgian partisans in the crowd.
Has he done it?
It sounds like he has finally emerged from the quarterfinals. It may be the first time a Dutch-speaking Belgian has actually won a quarterfinal match on the Pro Tour. Marin Lebert wins 3-1. He finally drew some white mana for his Revel Arcs, and that was the difference maker.
Yeah, we felt that Guillaume was up against it. We certainly saw that in action yesterday in the penultimate round. Moreno Libert advances to the semi-finals. Congratulations to him. Paul Reitzel is
one
already in
round
the semis.
closer to not having to take a full-time job.
But that's the thing. Motivation is such a powerful factor, and Moreno's like, this is my last chance.
I think it's also sometimes you see people. There's a certain amount of you let go. When you know, it's like, well, I'm not going to be grinding this. I'm just going to really enjoy it. You're more process oriented, and I think that makes a big difference. I've seen that time and time again talking to people in the top 8 of events.
So Libert will await the winner of Nelson and
Thoughtseize from Brian Kibler over here. He's looking at a hand of Mystical Teachings, I believe a Negate, and the Punishing Fire. I don't know my full art cards here. I'm not sure if that's a mana leak or a negate.
Let's ask the audience, by show of hands, who thinks that's a mana leak on there?
All right, there you go.
We go with a mana leak. Thanks, guys and girls.
And he takes the Mystical Teachings.
So neither Libert nor Reitzel know their semi-final opponent yet. Reitzel awaits the winner of this match, and Libert will face either Buddha or Nelson.
Not a exciting prospect either way.
I guess, though, if you get to the semi-finals, you probably have no fear of anyone anymore. You're just like, well, I've done what I set out to do. And I'll just batter a couple more people and take a big check home.
Yeah.
20-13 now in favor of Michael Jacob.
He's got the Punishing Fire pinging away at Brian's life total.
Yep.
Doing what Brian's land started for him.
Strange to think that at Austin, that Punishing Fire Grove of the Burn Willows, that was the absolute hottest thing ever. And now, I would think out of the 457 players, I would think well over half of them managed to shoehorn it in.
People put it into just about every deck. It was terrific in Pyromancer's Ascension. We saw people putting it into ad nauseum combo.
Yeah.
It fits so well into these control decks. It was interesting. We did a deck tech with Shaheen Sarani, who had a 5-color control deck, and because he was running the Punishing Fire Grove of the Burn Willows, he had already 4 greens. So he was just able to run Kitchen Finks, which he felt he needed to beat the red decks. Jace the Mind Sculptor. Every time someone plays a Jace the Mind Sculptor, Patrick Chapin gets his wings. He's been a champion for that card since it was first spoiled.
Not unreasonably.
It's it could be called front running. It's an awesome card. Is awesome. But not a lot of people were You know, it was like, oh, is it good? It's 4 mana. Is it, you know, there's so many things at 4, and he's like, no, this card's awesome.
People said that about Fact or Fiction, didn't they?
No, they did not. It was pretty clear that card was awesome right from the start.
It's a guy who has points.
So, Jace went right up to 5 loyalty.
For the whole Fate Seal ability. You don't actually see Brian Kibler looking serious that often. This is business. 2 good friends, 2 playtest partners. No side, no agenda, just you, me, and some cards. For thousands of dollars. Maelstrom Pulse from Brian Kibler. He will run into a mana leak, and there it is, the full art mana leak.
Right?
We know what that looks like now.
Yeah, he's been waiting to get rid of that.
Again, you've got to say that Jacob's in pretty decent shape here, because it's one of those times where you just count the land and think, you know, I'm gearing up here.
Brainstorm.
Mm-hmm.
But he does know that, you know, if Brian has a window to play Doran, he can just rumble in for 6.
I can tell you that when we do get to game 5 of Nelson against Buddha, Buddha will be starting with 6 cards. Here's mulliganed.
That's all he feels he needs. All right.
But nothing will happen in that without us, so you will not miss the decider.
There's a creeping tar pit from Michael Jacob. He said that was the card that's really won him the most of his matches.
I
said, you know, what do you kill people with generally? You know, Cruel Ultimatum, Grave Titan. He's like, yeah, honestly, it's creeping tar pit.
Yeah, Gemwaffet's up are the same. Just, yep, I'll just activate it a few times.
Yeah.
You can't do anything about it. I can protect it forever.
Yeah. He's out mana-ing Brian 7-3 right now.
In a big way.
And out Jacing him 1-0.
I think Kibler is in trouble.
And there's
Just passes the turn. Jacob's like, okay. Sitting there with 2 cards in hand.
I have a Mystical Teachings in my graveyard. Perhaps I will flash it back. Yep.
Indeed I shall. Kibler says sure. And this time, Jacob shuffles through. Finds something pretty quickly by the looks of things. And Kibler just asking, off day is left, saying, so, you kind of waiting for us? Yes, indeed. He will want to keep them waiting as long as humanly possible.
I don't think it'll be very long. He teachings for teachings to sort of get that engine going.
Yeah. That's never a good sign.
No.
I don't even have to get anything in particular. I can just, you know, get something that's going to be hideous in a bit.
And these guys have played this, again, they've played this match probably 100 times, so I think they both know how it ends here, but it is any given Sunday, though. Anything could still happen,
Yeah.
but I don't imagine that, I don't see how Brian is going to come out of this.
You would not think, looking at Mike Jacob there, that he was in a winning position.
Well, these things are fragile, though. Like one greedy play, right? And, you know, Brian's able to get in for quite a bit with his Treefolk Harbingers. And able to then, maybe get him within shooting distance of a treetop village. Again, doesn't seem very likely.
Up we go to 7.
And what do you got coming up?
Jacob will Fate Seal. Well, it's a spell. You can go that far.
And he's like, you can have a spell. If it was a land, certainly would go right to the bottom.
Yeah.
Kibler's smirking. He's like,
Thanks. Thank you so much.
And
oh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We know what gets 7. Cruel Ultimatum. I invite you to discard a bunch. Looks like there's a Thoughtseize, Knight of the Reliquary, Treefolk Harbinger. So a Treefolk Harbinger goes away. There's an Elspeth, a Thoughtseize, Treefolk Harbinger. 2 Thoughtseizes is about to go away.
Yeah, well, he said he's going to be at 7 when this finish resolving.
Yep. Jacob will be up at 25. Knight of the Reliquary is the 3rd card that hits the graveyard. Great shot there for you. See the Murmuring Bosque in the background. One of the hottest cards of the weekend at the dealer tables.
And an 8th land.
Yeah.
Oh, which is, by the way, another Creeping Tar Pit.
At least going to deal damage.
At least I'm going to deal some damage this game. He attacks with the Treetop Village. We are moments away from the handshake, and there it is. Michael Jacob advances to the Pro Tour semi-finals by 3 games to 2 over Brian Kibler. And with his Mystical Teachings deck, he will face Paul Rietzel with White Weenie. Now, who will Moraine Libert with his fish deck face in the 2nd semi-final? It will be either Brad Nelson or Kai Buddha. Let us take you to their game 5. That is where we are headed.
In a very generous move, I'm going to give you first pick here. Who do you think is going to win this game 5?
Well, Kai's mulligan to 6.
He's on the play.
But he is on the play. You've got to think that makes him favourite. Let's take a look at I'm going to give you Nelson, and you can see who you've got coming up on screen anyway. We can have a little look at Brad Nelson's resume for you in just a second. Team Channel Fireball.